This video is probably not going to be as long as a majority of them are. This is more so to discuss a certain aspect of gameplay, and that is running an evil campaign. If you believe that you have a party that will be capable of working well together under the guise that they are all playing evil characters, then by all means try it. But don't expect it to get more than a one shot, because being an evil character pretty much gives your players an excuse to betray one another or, do something shitty to somebody that has repercussions on the whole party later on down the road, or just do something in general that ends up screwing the party or causing the party to turn on that person, and then nobody trusts anybody and it just kind of falls apart. Even if you're not playing particularly evil people, I mean, even if you're playing just douchebags, okay, who are in it for the money and they're together because they're just a group of these badasses. Which kind of leads me into a story about a campaign that Terry was DMing, and I'm not going to get into too much detail on this story because it didn't go anywhere anywhere. Period. I'm kind of stumbling over some of this conversation, but basically, it didn't get far at all, right? And so the idea that Terry kind of had for this game, which I'm going to use as an example as what generally happens when you're playing asshole characters, okay? Because one, you either want to play the asshole character to be disruptive and just be an asshole, or two, you're wanting to do it because you're trying this pseudo-evil campaign or a evil campaign in general, and you think a group of you all being evil could end up working to your detriment. Not really. Even if you're all the same alignment and you all work for the same guy, you're still evil, okay? There's still the opportunity to try and get ahead of the guy you're working for, and because you have no morals as said evil character, that leaves opportunity open for you to take a shot at the guy or get him out of the way, right? And because you're playing douchebag characters, that's kind of what happens in character. That's why mostly all the time D&D is about playing the adventuring heroes, because I mean, if playing dickheads is your thing, then by all means have fun with that. But to me, D&D is about getting together with an adventuring group of heroes who all have the goal of being heroes in your world in mind, for whatever reason. But every once in a while, again, on that opposite side of the coin, I can see maybe the appeal of every now and then doing like a one shot where you're all bad guys. And so Terry wanted to do this campaign that was kind of like a mixture between D&D and like Black Lagoon, where you had this group of mercenaries who kind of escaped from this prison with one another, and they got on this boat who they shanghaied from some guy, they stole it or whatever, and with warrant posters out on their heads throughout the lands, they kind of have no choice but to use this boat to sail from place to place to get jobs here and there. because they can't ever stay in one place at once, and they just kind of, go out, from place to place on this boat and do their thing. Um, Being on a boat, by the way, is a whole nother huge discussion for D&D. I don't know if I'll do that next or not, but that is a big to-do thing. Like, let's just say this, if you don't know somebody who can properly run combat on a boat, you're going to die. Okay? If you're sure your DM wants to absolutely get you on a boat so that he can have you experience the whole, like, kraken jumping up and, like, decimating your boat and stuff like that, because there are plenty of sea creatures in D&D that a lot of them never get used. Okay? And a lot of DMs will have you get on the boat as the opportunity to get attacked by the giant sea creature. Chances are you're gonna die. Just as simple as that. If you don't know somebody who can properly do sea combat, you're in for a bad time. Or if you're just using as a boat as an excuse to go from point A to point B, and there's not going to be a big combat thing in between there, and you're just using it as a plot device to get from, again, point A to point B, then that's cool too. Like I said, boat conversation is a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. Anyways, so Terry kind of wants to run this thing where we're all this band of hard-ass, badass mercenary dudes, inspired by Black Lagoon, right? In the world of D&D. And this was kind of hot off the heels of our Gremlin campaign where we were all gremlins, and I was like, you know what, I think I could do a gremlin character who's evil and who can keep up with the best of them. And so I made this, like, shamanistic gremlin creature, and I called him Peck. The name, in fact, inspired by the film Willow, because, Val Kilmer's like, out of the way, Peck, and I kind of thought that was cool, so I just got done watching that film, and I was like, what should I name my... Oh, yep, Peck. Why the fuck not? So, his name's Peck, and he is a little bastard. Peck is a guy who uses his magics to do all kinds of jacked up shit to people because he's a gremlin, and in his opinion, most individuals look down on gremlins and treat them as just fodder, and it's kind of nothing for an adventuring group to see a gremlin and want to hack it up for sport, I mean, really. It's kind of the same thing as stepping on a bug, And so he kind of grew up in that type of world, and it kind of twisted his idealisms on certain things. And so Peck's gimmick was that he had this scorpion type creature that he would always summon. This giant scorpion creature that he would summon. Well, middle sized, but big. You know what I'm saying? Like, decent sized. Still among the giant scorpion category, even though it's probably not as big as you can get them. But, medium size. Size enough to take on, a full grown, 6 foot tall man, in combat and kill the shit out of him. And Peck would ride around on top of the scorpion. This is his pet. And Peck, of course, was in jail for being just all kinds of depraved and fiendish, and he had made a reputation for himself, and as a gremlin, that's somewhat hard to do. And he was to be executed in public because this had gotten, of course, to the local public. And he was, in fact, in the middle of trying to. I thought it would be funny that Peck had like a crush on like a human girl, and so I was like, as my character, I explained to the rest of the group that I got caught where I got caught at outside of the local kingdom palace because I was making frequent visits to the king's daughter and wooing her with my magic tricks, or at least attempting to. She probably just thought I was a little funny creature, and being, somewhat of a closed-in individual, and daddy's girl, and daddy wanting to protect his progeny. She didn't really know anything about outside evils, and she had no idea about me. She just thought I was this cute little goblin creature who just, would show up and, be whimsical and stuff and want to play with her, and I was trying to score with her somewhere in my goblin mind. I thought I had a chance, and if I didn't, I was always trying to, charm her and stuff, but my charm never went. Every time I tried to charm her, it never went anything past, oh, such a deep magic trick, yay! I won her favor as her thinking I was cute, That's as far as it went. I was always trying to charm her and shit. And it only went as far as, when I popped off a magic trick, she'd be like, yay, oh, you're so cute, and she'd, pat me on the head and shit, But yeah, I got caught doing that. And of course, there's a group of other individuals there. There's this hardened, dwarvish character, and this other girl who's very representative of, Revy from Black Lagoon. And there's this dude who's this elven guy, and he's like this raven-haired elven dude who I guess was a warlord from an opposing army who they had brought in, and they had been waiting to make his particularly public spectacle because he's a war criminal. And there were a couple of others with us. There was David was playing a Dragonborn. In fact, I'm not too sure what his Dragonborn was in for. I believe it had to do with the slaughtering of human beings for some reason. Not sure why. Anyways, we escape, we cause a prison riot, we get the hell out of there after killing many of guards, and then we set out on our adventures on the little boat that we stole, doing odd jobs for people, and it only got to, 2 jobs. We completed one job for somebody who tried to, double-cross us, and then we killed him and stole all his shit, and then we went to find somebody else who was, hiring a group of people who aren't afraid to get a job done, and that's when the double crossing came in. Once we realized we were going to a tomb with specifically rare enchanted items, and all it took was the one guy to sow the seeds of mistrust and cause chaos among the party, which inevitably ended up as our downfall. And I'm looking at you, Mr. Warlord. Fuck you. But so anyways, yeah, that's kind of how they tend to go.